Captain Eric Donovan stood at the viewport of his quarters, looking at the blue-green sphere of Earth. Soon he would leave his home planet behind to command humanity's greatest secret. At 52, his hair had gone gray at the temples, but his eyes remained sharp and clear. They had seen much in his 30 years of service. A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Admiral Catherine Wright, her uniform crisp and her expression serious. "Captain, it's time," she said. Eric nodded and followed her down the corridor. They walked in silence through the underground base hidden beneath the Rocky Mountains. Few people knew this place existed. Even fewer knew what it contained. They entered a large elevator that descended deeper into the earth. When the doors opened again, Eric couldn't help but smile. Before them stretched an enormous hangar bay, and in it sat the most powerful ship humans had ever built. "The USS Leviathan," Admiral Wright said with pride. "She's finally ready." The battleship was massive, nearly 2 miles long, with a dark hull that seemed to swallow light rather than reflect it. It didn't look like the smooth, elegant ships the aliens of the Galactic Confederation used. The Leviathan was built for war, not beauty. "She's magnificent," Eric whispered. "And she's yours," Admiral Wright replied, "along with a crew of 3,000 of our best." They boarded a small transport that took them into the battleship. Inside, crews worked to finish last-minute preparations. Engineers checked systems. Officers studied controls. Everyone moved with purpose. In the main conference room, several people waited for them. Lieutenant Samuel Brooks, a young tactical officer with an unusual gift for understanding alien thinking, stood as they entered. Beside him sat Dr. Lisa Blackwood, the scientist who had created the ship's revolutionary drive system. "Captain on deck," someone called, and everyone stood straight. "At ease," Eric said. "We have work to do." Admiral Wright activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. A section near Earth glowed red. "3 days ago, our spies confirmed what we've feared. The Arcturian Empire is planning to attack human colonies. They've built up forces here, here, and here." She pointed to spots on the map. "The Confederation has ignored our warnings." "They always do," Lisa said bitterly. "For 30 years they've treated us like children." Eric nodded. Humans had joined the Galactic Confederation hoping for friendship and knowledge. Instead, they got rules and restrictions. No advanced weapons, limited space travel. Peaceful integration, the aliens called it, but Eric and others suspected the truth. The older species feared competition. "That's why we built the Leviathan in secret," Admiral Wright continued. "She has technologies the Confederation has forbidden and innovations they haven't imagined. Now we're going to reveal her at the Confederation Summit on Nexus Prime, Lieutenant E." Brooks looked concerned. "The diplomatic fallout will be severe." "Better than the fallout of an Arcturian invasion," Eric replied. "The Leviathan isn't just a ship, she's a message. Humanity will defend itself." "What exactly can she do?" Eric asked, turning to Dr. Blackwood. Lisa smiled. "Things that should be impossible. Her shields adapt to any weapon. Her quantum phase cannons can penetrate any defense, and the dark matter fold drive." She paused, eyes bright with pride. "It lets us cross vast distances almost instantly. No Confederation ship can catch us." Admiral Wright nodded. "No single species has managed to combine these technologies successfully. They all specialize. The Viridians in shields, the Mox in weapons, the Talari in drives. We took bits from each and made something new. Because that's what humans do," Eric said. "We adapt, we combine, we create." The Admiral handed Eric a data pad. "These are your orders. Take the Leviathan to Nexus Prime. Show our strength, but avoid conflict if possible. The President will address the Confederation Council while you're in orbit." Eric studied the crew manifest. "I know some of these officers. Good people. All have experienced alien prejudice firsthand," Wright explained. "They understand what's at stake." Later that day, Eric met his senior staff in the ship's command center. The bridge was spacious, with stations arranged in a circle around a central command chair. Large screens showed the hangar outside, and status reports from all sections. Chief Engineer Alan Garrett was checking systems with almost loving care. The man was awkward in conversation but brilliant with machines. "She's ready, Captain," he reported. "All systems operational." Lieutenant Brooks stood at the tactical station. "Weapons and defensive systems check out, sir." Commander John Weber, the head of security, reported that all personnel were aboard. 3,000 crew members as ordered. Dr. Lisa Blackwood monitored the dark matter fold drive. "The drive is stable. We can leave whenever you're ready." Eric took his place in the command chair. It felt right, as if he had been waiting for this moment his whole career. "Communications, inform flight control, we're ready for departure," he ordered. "Yes, sir," responded Lieutenant Olivia Bennett. "Flight control acknowledges. The mountain doors are opening." Above them, the massive doors of the secret hangar slid apart, revealing stars beyond. "Take us out, Helm. 1/4 power until we clear Earth's atmosphere." The great ship rose silently despite its size. People in the control room watched on screens as the Leviathan emerged from its hidden berth. Few on Earth knew the ship existed. By tomorrow, the whole galaxy would. As they cleared the atmosphere, Eric gave the order. "Set course for Nexus Prime. Prepare the fold drive." "Course set, Captain," the helm officer confirmed. Fold drive spinning up. Eric thought of the 30 years humans had spent being polite, accepting scraps of technology and limited roles in galactic affairs. The Confederation saw Earth as a backwater world, its people as barely civilized newcomers. That was about to change. "Execute fold," Eric ordered. Space twisted around them. Stars blurred. In seconds, Earth vanished behind them. The Leviathan's mission had begun. In the coming days, the galaxy would learn that humanity was not to be underestimated. Not anymore. During the journey, Eric reviewed reports in his quarters. A knock at his door interrupted his reading. "Enter," he called. Lieutenant Brooks stepped. "Honest Captain, can I speak frankly?" "Always, Lieutenant. I've studied the Arcturians extensively. They respect strength but hate being challenged publicly. Revealing the Leviathan at the summit could provoke them into immediate action." Eric nodded. "I've considered that, but hiding our strength has only made us a target. Sometimes the best way to prevent a fight is to show you're ready for one." "I hope you're right, sir." Brooks hesitated. "There's something else. The way the Confederation has restricted us, it's not normal. Other new species weren't treated this way. What are you suggesting?" "I don't know yet. But something about humanity frightens them. They saw something in us they wanted to contain." "Then they should have contained us better," Eric said grimly. The Leviathan traveled toward Nexus Prime. Eric knew they carried more than weapons and crew. They carried humanity's future among the stars, and a message that would echo across the galaxy. 5 days into their journey, the USS Leviathan moved through space faster than any human ship before it. The crew settled into their routines. Captain Eric Donovan reviewed reports in his ready room when an urgent call came from the bridge. "Captain, to the bridge," Lieutenant Bennett's voice announced over the comm system. Eric hurried to his command post. "Report." "We're picking up a distress signal, sir," Lieutenant Bennett said from her communications station. "It's from Outpost 7, one of our colonies in the Tau Ceti system." "Put it on screen," Eric ordered. The main display flickered to life, showing a frightened woman with smoke and chaos behind her. "This is Dr. Carrie Miller at Outpost 7. We're under attack by unknown ships. Our defenses are failing. Please, if anyone can hear this." The transmission cut off in static. "How far are we from Tau Ceti?" Eric asked. Lieutenant Brooks checked his console. "About 6 hours at normal fold speed, sir." "And the nearest Confederation patrol?" "At least 3 days away." Eric didn't hesitate. "Helm, change course to Outpost 7, maximum fold speed." "Sir," Lieutenant Brooks said quietly, "if we reveal the Leviathan's capabilities now—" "I know the risks, Lieutenant, but I won't abandon our people." Eric's voice was firm. "Tactical, prepare all weapon systems. Security, ready a rescue team." "Ta." Great Battleship changed course, its dark matter fold drive pushing it to speeds no Confederation ship could match. In just under 2 hours, They emerged at the edge of the Tau Ceti system. "Scan for hostiles," Eric ordered. "6 ships attacking the colony, sir," reported Lieutenant Brooks. "Design matches Arcturian raiders, but they're using false identification. They're trying to make it look like pirate activity." "Clever," Eric muttered. "They attack our colonies through proxies while claiming innocence." On the screen, they could see the small human outpost on a rocky moon. The settlement's shields were failing under the attackers' weapons. The raiders were small but fast, circling the colony like wolves around injured prey. "They haven't noticed us yet," Commander Weber said. "Our stealth systems are working." Eric stood from his chair. "Let's introduce ourselves. Take us in. Full visibility." The Leviathan dropped its stealth field and moved toward the battle. The effect was immediate. The raiding ships stopped their attack, sensors turning toward the massive human battleship that had suddenly appeared. "They're scanning us, sir," Brooks reported. "And they seem confused." "They should be," Chief Engineer Garrett said with a rare smile. "According to Confederation records, humans don't have ships like this." "Open a channel," Eric ordered. Lieutenant Bennett nodded. "Channel open, sir." "Attention raiding vessels. This is Captain Eric Donovan of the Earth Defense. Force vessel USS Leviathan. You are attacking a peaceful human settlement. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." The raiders' response came quickly, not with words, but with action. 2 of the ships broke off from the colony and fired at the Leviathan. Energy beams struck the battleship's shields, which flared briefly but held without effort. "No damage, sir," reported Brooks. "Their weapons don't even register on our threat scale." "Target their propulsion systems only," Eric ordered. "Warning shots." The Leviathan's weapons officer touched her console. A single quantum phase cannon fired a precise beam that sliced through the lead raider's engines. The ship spun out of control, its drive disabled, but the crew compartment intact. The effect on the other raiders was immediate. They broke formation, turning to flee. "They're running, sir," Brooks announced. "Let the others go," Eric decided. "But lock a tractor beam on the disabled ship. I want prisoners to question." Within minutes, the Leviathan security team had boarded the raider and captured its crew. Arcturians, as suspected, operating under false colors. Below on the colony, cheers erupted as the settlers realized they had been saved. Dr. Miller's face appeared on the comm screen again, this time with tears of relief. "Thank you, Captain. But what ship is that? I've never seen anything like it." "The newest addition to Earth's fleet," Eric replied simply. "We'll send down medical teams to help your wounded." After ensuring the colony was secure, Eric met with his senior staff. The implications of what had happened were not lost on anyone. "Word of this will spread quickly," Ambassador Grace Martinez warned. She had been quiet during the battle, but now the diplomats' concerns came to the fore. "The Arcturians will deny involvement and the Confederation Council will focus on our treaty violations instead of the attack." "Let them," Eric said. "The Leviathan was built for defense, and that's exactly what we used it for today." The raiders had detailed scans of our defense systems, Lieutenant Brooks noted, reviewing captured data. "This wasn't opportunistic. It was planned." Dr. Lisa Blackwood looked troubled. "If they're testing our defenses across multiple colonies, then this is just the beginning." Eric finished her thought. "All the more reason to continue to Nexus Prime and make our statement clear." Commander Weber reported from the brig where the prisoners were held. "The Arcturians won't talk, sir, but their ship's logs confirm they were under direct orders from their military command." "Copy all data for presentation to the Confederation Council," Eric ordered. "And prepare the Leviathan to resume course to Nexus Prime, maximum speed." As they prepared to depart, Eric recorded a message to be sent to Earth through secure channels, informing Admiral Wright of what had happened. The secret of the Leviathan was out now, at least partially. There was no turning back. The journey to Nexus Prime took 3 more days. During that time, subspace communications buzzed with news of the mysterious Earth battleship that had appeared from nowhere to defend a human colony. Some reports exaggerated its size and power. Others questioned how humans had built such a vessel in secret. When they finally arrived at Nexus Prime, The Leviathan emerged from fold space to find a welcoming committee, a dozen Confederation patrol ships in defensive formation. "They're hailing us, Captain," Lieutenant Bennett reported. On screen, Eric ordered. The face that appeared belonged to a Viridian, his blue skin and multiple eyes marking his species. "Earth vessel, this is Patrol Commander Krell. You will power. Down weapons and submit to boarding and inspection by order of the Confederation Security Council." Ambassador Martinez stepped forward. "This might be a good time for me to handle communications, Captain." Eric nodded and Grace moved to address the Viridian. "Commander Krell, this is Ambassador Grace Martinez of Earth. We are here at the invitation of the Confederation for the summit. The USS Leviathan is a sovereign vessel of Earth, and under Article 7 of the Membership Charter, is not subject to boarding without evidence of hostile intent." The Viridian blinked his many eyes in what might have been surprise or frustration. "The Arcturian delegation has filed a formal complaint about Earth's treaty violations. The Security Council requires inspection. We will be happy to address all concerns at the summit," Grace replied smoothly. "And we bring evidence of Arcturian aggression against human colonies. The Leviathan will proceed to the designated orbital position." Martinez out. The screen went dark before the Viridian could object further. "Well done, Ambassador," Eric said with approval. "The real challenge begins now," Grace replied. "Every species in the Confederation will be watching us, some with fear, some with hope." As the Leviathan moved into orbit around the gleaming world of Nexus Prime, Eric looked at the view screen showing the planet below, the heart of galactic power for centuries. For 30 years, Earth had been a footnote in Confederation politics. That was about to change forever. The Confederation Council chamber was a vast room with curving walls that reached up to a dome showing the stars above. Representatives from over 200 species sat in rising tiers, their faces showing curiosity, concern, and in some cases, clear hostility. Captain Eric Donovan stood beside Ambassador Grace Martinez as she addressed the council. Behind them were Lieutenant Brooks and Dr. Blackwood, who had been selected to join the Earth delegation. The rest of the Leviathan's crew remained on board, ready for any situation. "Distinguished representatives," Grace began, her voice calm and measured. "For 30 years, Earth has been a loyal member of the Confederation. We have followed your rules and accepted the limits placed on our development, but we can no longer ignore the growing threat to our colonies." High Counselor Zex Thari, a tall reptilian being with scaled skin and cold eyes, leaned forward. "What threat would that be, Ambassador? The only threat we see is a human warship that violates multiple treaty provisions." Grace activated a holographic display showing the attack on Outpost 7. This footage shows Arcturian military vessels attacking a civilian research colony. The USS Leviathan responded to their distress call. The Arcturian delegation erupted in protests. Grand Admiral Vexcon, their military leader, stood up. "Those were pirates, not our forces. We condemn such attacks." "We captured one of the vessels," Grace replied. "Its crew were Arcturian military personnel under direct orders." She shared the data they had gathered. The council chamber filled with murmurs as representatives discussed this revelation among themselves. Eric noticed that some seemed genuinely surprised, while others exchanged knowing looks. On the sidelines, Lieutenant Brooks whispered to Eric, "Captain, something isn't right. Look at the Viridians and the Mox delegations. They're not surprised by any of this." Eric nodded slightly. He had noticed it too. Some of the major powers seemed more concerned about the Leviathan than about Arcturian aggression. Council Representative Jana Phillips, newly appointed from Earth, joined them. "Captain Donovan, we need to be careful here. I've only been on the Military Oversight Committee for a month, but I've seen patterns of information being suppressed." Before Eric could respond, Vice Admiral Frank Morales approached. The older man had been Eric's mentor for years, but recently had been stationed on Nexus Prime as Earth's military liaison. "Eric, we need to talk," he said quietly. "Not here. Meet me in the Garden of Remembrance in 1 hour. Bring Lieutenant Brooks." The council session continued, with various species arguing about whether Earth had the right to build the Leviathan. No one seemed interested in addressing the attacks on human colonies. After the session, Eric and Brooks made their way to the Garden of Remembrance, a quiet place filled with plants from hundreds of worlds. Admiral Morales waited for them beside a fountain. "I'm glad you brought the Leviathan," Morales said without preamble. "Things are worse than we thought." "Sir?" Eric prompted. "The Confederation has been playing species against each other for centuries. The older members, the Viridians, the Mox, the Talari, they have a system. They keep new species weak and dependent while extracting their resources and talents." Brooks nodded. "I suspected something like this. The restrictions on human development were never applied to other new members in the same way. Because they fear us," Morales said. "Human adaptability and innovation move too fast for their comfort. Most species specialize. They're good at one thing but limited in others. We combine and improve, and that terrifies them." Eric frowned. "Are you saying the Arcturian attacks are part of this?" "The Arcturians are being used. They're aggressive by nature, but these attacks were encouraged by others. If humans were wiped out or severely weakened, the Confederation could claim it was just unfortunate aggression they couldn't prevent." Eric finished. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent call from the Leviathan. Eric tapped his communicator. "Donovan here." "Captain, this is Dr. Nicole Russell in medical." The ship's doctor sounded worried. "We've detected something alarming. I've been running routine scans on the Arcturian prisoners, and I found evidence of bioengineering. They're carrying modified viruses that target human DNA specifically." Eric exchanged alarmed looks with Brooks and Morales. "A biological weapon?" "Yes, sir. And it's sophisticated, designed to look like a natural disease if it spread. This took years of research to develop." Back on the Leviathan, Chief Engineer Alan Garrett was working in his engine room when security alerts blared. He rushed to a nearby console. "Security breach in Section 14, he called out. "Someone's trying to access the dark matter fold drive controls." Commander John Weber and his security team responded immediately. They cornered two intruders, disguised as maintenance workers, but actually Mox operatives. The saboteurs had nearly succeeded in planting devices that would have disabled the Leviathan's drive systems. "How did they get aboard?" Eric demanded when he returned to the ship and was briefed on the situation. "They had valid credentials," Weber explained. "Someone high in the Confederation security structure must have approved them." Dr. Lisa Blackwood examined the sabotage devices. "These would have caused a catastrophic failure in the fold drive. We would have been stranded here, or worse." Eric called his senior staff together. "We're facing a coordinated effort against us. The bioweapon, the sabotage attempt, the political pressure. They want the Leviathan neutralized and Earth weakened." Ambassador Martinez had been working with other diplomats and had news of her own. "I've been approached by representatives from 5 smaller species. They're facing similar treatment from the dominant powers and want to form an alliance with Earth." "That might explain the urgency of the attacks against us," Lieutenant Brooks suggested. "If Earth became a rallying point for other marginalized species." A new alert sounded. Lieutenant Bennett looked up from her console with shock on her face. "Captain, our long-range sensors are detecting a massive fleet movement at the edge of Confederation space. Over 100 Arcturian warships just dropped out of fold space." "That's an invasion force," Admiral Morales said grimly. The Confederation emergency channel suddenly came alive with panicked messages. The Arcturian fleet had launched a surprise attack, targeting not just human interests, but Nexus Prime itself. "They're moving on multiple vectors," Brooks reported. "This isn't just about Earth anymore. They're making a play for Confederation control." Eric made his decision quickly. "Alert all crew to battle stations. Ambassador, inform the Council that the Leviathan stands ready to defend Nexus Prime." "Most of the Confederation defense fleet is deployed elsewhere," Morales noted. "They weren't expecting an attack here at their capital. The Leviathan may be the only real defense they have." As the alarm sounded throughout the ship, Eric took his place in the command chair. The irony wasn't lost on him. The very ship that the Confederation had condemned might now be their only hope. "Captain," Lieutenant Bennett called out, "we're receiving emergency requests from the Confederation Defense Command. They're asking for our assistance. Tell them the Leviathan is on its way, Eric replied. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do. The Leviathan moved swiftly from its orbital position, heading toward the incoming Arcturian fleet. On the bridge, Captain Eric Donovan watched the tactical display with focused attention. The situation was grim. 112 Arcturian vessels detected, Lieutenant Brooks reported. They've divided into 3 attack groups. 2 are targeting Nexus Prime's defense stations. The 3rd is heading directly for the planet. What about Confederation ships? Eric asked. Only 23 in position to defend, Lieutenant Bennett answered. The rest were deployed elsewhere. They won't arrive in time. The comm system crackled. A Viridian admiral appeared on screen, his multiple eyes blinking rapidly in what Eric recognized as their sign of distress. Human vessel, the Viridian said. This is Admiral Zal of Confederation Defense Command. We request your assistance. Eric noted the admiral's hesitation. Just days ago, the Confederation had demanded the Leviathan be dismantled for treaty violations. Now they needed its help. This is Captain Donovan. The Leviathan stands ready to defend Nexus Prime. Our vessels have different systems and protocols, Admiral Zal said. Coordination will be difficult. Lieutenant Olivia Bennett looked up from her communication station. Captain, I might have a solution for that. Go ahead, Lieutenant. If we modify our communication array to create a unified tactical network, we could share targeting data and defensive information across all ships, regardless of their systems. Eric nodded. Make it happen. Within minutes, Bennett had established the network. For the first time, ships from 20 different species could share tactical information instantly. Arcturian vessels will be in weapons range in 3 minutes, Brooks warned. Eric stood from his command chair. This is Captain Donovan. To all Confederation vessels. Form up behind the Leviathan. We'll take point position. The smaller, lighter Confederation ships moved into formation behind Earth's massive battleship. The Leviathan would absorb the brunt of the first attack. All hands, battle stations, Eric ordered. Shields at maximum. Prepare all weapon systems. The first wave of Arcturian ships launched their attack. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked toward the defenders. The Leviathan's advanced shields flared bright but held strong. Shields at 92%, reported Brooks. Minimal impact. Return fire, Eric commanded. Target their lead vessels. Quantum phase cannons only. The Leviathan's main weapons fired. Beams of energy that seemed to shift between states of matter cut through space. When they hit the Arcturian ships, they passed through their shields as if they weren't there. 3 enemy vessels exploded instantly. 2 more drifted, crippled. A gasp went through the bridge. Even the crew of the Leviathan hadn't fully understood the power of their weapons until this moment. The unified tactical network is working, Bennett reported. Confederation ships are adjusting their attack patterns based on our targeting data. The battle spread across the space around Nexus Prime. The Leviathan moved between the planet and the largest Arcturian attack group, drawing fire away from the vulnerable world below. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Nicole Russell worked frantically with alien scientists who had come aboard to help counter the biological weapon threat. They had discovered that the virus was designed to be released in Nexus Prime's atmosphere, where it would spread rapidly among the human delegation and any humans living on the planet. We need to neutralize both the virus and any carriers, she explained to a Talari biochemist. Can your containment fields be modified to identify the pathogen? On the planet below, Commander Ryan Turner led a team of the Leviathan's ground forces. They had transported down to protect the Confederation Council building, where many leaders were still gathered. Secure the perimeter, Turner ordered his team as they took up defensive positions. We have reports of Arcturian infiltrators already. On the ground. Back on the Leviathan, the battle intensified. An Arcturian cruiser managed to slip past their defenses and launched a concentrated attack on the ship's port side. Port shields down to 40%, Brooks called out. Chief Engineer Alan Garrett's voice came over the comm. Rerouting power from secondary systems. Give me 2 minutes to stabilize. Eric studied the tactical display. The Arcturians were focusing too much firepower on the Leviathan. ignoring the smaller ships that were now causing significant damage to their fleet. They're fixated on destroying us, Eric realized. Lieutenant Brooks analyzed their attack pattern, find their command ship. Brooks worked quickly. There, sir, the large vessel holding position at the rear of their formation. It's coordinating all their movements. Helm, plot an intercept course, Eric ordered, but use the debris field for cover. The Leviathan changed course, moving through the wreckage of destroyed ships. The maneuver confused the Arcturian sensors. Sir? Brooks said hesitantly. What you're planning? The calculations say it's theoretically impossible. The fold drive can't be activated this close to other ships without risking catastrophic spatial disruption. Theory isn't always right, Lieutenant, Eric replied. Dr. Blackwood? Lisa Blackwood had been quiet during the battle, monitoring the dark matter fold drive. It's never been attempted, Captain, but I've made some adjustments. We can create a microfold, just enough to jump past their defensive line and appear directly beside their command ship. Eric made his decision. Execute the microfold jump on my mark. The crew braced themselves. This maneuver had never been tested, not even in simulations. Mark! Space twisted around the Leviathan. For a split second, the ship seemed to exist in two places at once. Then it vanished from its position and reappeared directly alongside the Arcturian command ship. The enemy vessel had no time to react. At such close range, its shields were useless against the Leviathan's weapons. Target their engines and weapons only, Eric ordered. I want that ship disabled, not destroyed. Precision beams struck the Arcturian command ship, cutting power to its main systems. Within moments, it drifted helpless in space. Open a channel, Eric said. When the communication was established, Eric faced the Arcturian commander, Grand Admiral Vexcon himself. This is Captain Donovan of the USS Leviathan. Your ship is disabled and your fleet is being decimated. Surrender now and order your forces to stand down. The Arcturian's face showed a mixture of rage and disbelief. How? How did your ship do that? It should not be possible. Humanity has been underestimated for too long, Eric replied simply. Your choice, Admiral. Surrender or be destroyed. After a tense moment, Vexicon gave the order. Throughout the battle zone, Arcturian ships powered down their weapons. On Nexus Prime, Commander Turner and his team successfully repelled the ground assault on the Council building. Working with security forces from other species, they captured several Arcturian operatives who had been preparing to release the biological weapon. As the fighting ended, the full scope of what had happened began to sink in. The Leviathan, a ship that shouldn't have existed according to Confederation restrictions, had just saved the capital world from destruction. Eric looked around his bridge at the tired but proud faces of his crew. Send word to Earth, he ordered. The Arcturian threat has been neutralized, and inform the Confederation Council that we have much to discuss. The message that would soon reach Earth carried more than just news of victory. It carried proof that humanity could no longer be treated as a junior partner in galactic affairs. The Leviathan had changed everything. 2 weeks after the Battle of Nexus Prime, the Great Hall of the Confederation Council looked very different. Many seats had been rearranged. Species that once sat in the back now held prominent positions. The Arcturian delegation was absent, their leaders facing trial for war crimes and attempted genocide. Captain Eric Donovan stood at attention as President Diane Howard of Earth addressed the council. She had arrived 3 days ago on the USS Defender, another Earth ship that had been kept secret until now. The attack on Nexus Prime has shown us all that the old ways must change, President Howard said. For too long, the Confederation has allowed some species to control others. For too long, rules have been used to keep newer members weak while claiming it was for peace. Many council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The evidence gathered from captured Arcturian ships had revealed uncomfortable truths. Several major powers had encouraged the Arcturians to attack human colonies. They had helped develop the biological weapon. They had planned to blame everything on Arcturian aggression while watching Earth fall. But Earth does not seek revenge, the president continued. We seek partnership. Real partnership, where all species contribute according to their strengths. Where innovation is encouraged, not feared. High Counselor Zex Thari, one of the few senior officials who had been cleared of involvement in the conspiracy, spoke next. The Council recognizes that mistakes were made. The restriction policies will be reviewed immediately. After the formal session, a reception was held in one of the grand halls. Eric found himself surrounded by representatives from dozens of species, all eager to speak with the captain of the Leviathan. "Your ship changed everything," said Relevax, a small, gray-skinned being whose species had been under Arcturian control for generations, not just for humans, but for all of us who were kept from advancing. Admiral Stephen Clark, who had arrived with President Howard, joined them. "The Leviathan was just the beginning," he told Eric quietly. "The Defender is one of 5 specialized vessels we've built, each with different capabilities." Eric raised his eyebrows. "5? You've been busy, Admiral." "We hoped we wouldn't need them, but after what happened here..." Clark looked around the room. "Trust will take time to rebuild." "Doctor," Lisa Blackwood approached with excitement in her eyes. "Captain, I've been meeting with scientists from 12 different species. They want to form a joint research initiative based on our dark matter fold drive principles." "For peaceful applications," Eric confirmed. "Of course. Exploration, disaster, response, medical transport. The possibilities are endless." In another corner of the room, Lieutenant Brooks was deep in conversation with representatives from species that specialized in intelligence and security. The young officer had proven his worth both in understanding alien psychology and in battle tactics. "We're forming a new joint security council," he explained to Eric later, "with equal representation from all member species. No more secret agreements or hidden agendas." Ambassador Grace Martinez had perhaps the biggest news. "The Confederation is restructuring," she told Eric. "Council Elder Mae Wilson has been elected to lead the reformed government, and Earth has been asked to head the new defense coalition." Eric was not surprised. The image of the Leviathan standing against the Arcturian fleet had been broadcast throughout the galaxy. Earth was no longer seen as a backwater world with primitive technology. Now Earth represented strength tempered by restraint, power guided by principle. On the final day of the summit, Eric met with his senior staff aboard the Leviathan. They had received new orders from Earth Command. "We're being reassigned," he told them. "The Leviathan will lead an expedition beyond Confederation space. There are reports of unknown species that have been watching our borders. We need to establish contact." "An exploration mission?" Lieutenant Bennett asked. "Primarily, but we'll still carry our full complement of weapons. The galaxy now knows what we're capable of if threatened." Lieutenant Commander Jason Miller, a promising young officer who had distinguished himself during the battle, would be joining the crew. "I've studied your tactical decisions during the Arcturian engagement, Captain. Especially the microfold maneuver. Amazing strategy." "It was a team effort," Eric replied. "That's humanity's true strength. We combine ideas, we adapt, we work together." Dr. Nicole Russell had finished developing a vaccine against the Arcturian bioweapon. Now it was being distributed to all human settlements. "The medical knowledge we gained has led to breakthroughs in treating diseases across multiple species," she reported proudly. Commander John Weber had been coordinating with security teams from other worlds. "The Arcturian prisoners have revealed their entire command structure," he said. "Their empire is collapsing from within. Many worlds they controlled are declaring independence." Before the Leviathan departed, a ceremony was held in orbit around Nexus Prime. Ships from dozens of species formed an honor guard as the Earth vessel moved past them. Standing on his bridge, Eric felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The ship that had once been built in secret, hidden beneath a mountain on Earth, now flew openly among the stars. Its very name had become known throughout the galaxy. "Captain," Lieutenant Bennett called from her station, "we're receiving messages from settlements across 20 systems. They're all saying the same thing, thank you." Eric nodded, touched by the gesture. "Set course for the outer rim, Helm. Let's see what's out there." As the Leviathan engaged its dark matter fold drive, preparing to venture beyond known space, Eric thought about how much had changed in just a few weeks. Earth had gone from being ignored to being respected. The Confederation had begun reforms that would benefit all species. And the galaxy had learned an important lesson about underestimating humans. The great battleship disappeared into fold space, leaving behind a changed galaxy. For centuries to come, species across the stars would tell the story of how Earth's first true battleship appeared and made the entire galaxy tremble, not just with fear, but with hope for a better future. In his personal log that night, Eric made a simple entry. The Leviathan was built to prevent a war. In the end, it did. Far more, it built a peace. Far away on Earth, Admiral Catherine Wright received the final reports on the events at Nexus Prime. She smiled as she read about the Leviathan's new mission of exploration. That's what we were really building all along, she said to herself. Not just a weapon, but a symbol. Not just a battleship, but a bridge. As night fell across Earth, children looked up at the stars with new understanding. Their world was no longer alone or vulnerable. The galaxy had learned that humans were a force to be respected, and humanity had learned that its greatest strength wasn't technology or weapons, but the ability to stand firm in defense of what was right, and then to offer a hand in friendship when the fighting was done.